Hello everyone, I'm David, Managing Director of Deed Solar, and today we are going to tell you everything there is to know about the Sigenergy or SigenStor battery, and stay tuned. So we're going to use our 5P system: presence, power, protection, price, and pizzazz. So we're going to score each category out of 5. That will give us an overall score of 25. So stick around and see how the SigenStor stacks up and if it's the right product for your home. So first thing we're going to look at is presence. How does it look aesthetically? How does it stack up? So how much does it weigh? And about the company. Who are Sigenergy? So Sigenergy was founded in 2022 by a guy named Tony, I think Zoe, XU. We'll go with Tony Zoe. He was the ex-president of Huawei. Obviously, we all know who Huawei is. So he's got about 26 years experience in the industry. Now, Sigenergy has made a crash landing into the industry. They are one of the fastest growing companies to make $100 million sales. Like, they have just absolutely smashed it, and let's sort of see how the product stacks up and why they've achieved this. Products manufactured in Shanghai, which is where they're based. So it's a Chinese company, and let's face it, what isn't? Sigenergy's residential battery storage solution is the SigenStor. The SigenStor is an AI-optimized 5-in-1 energy storage system designed for maximum efficiency and integration. It combines 5 key components into one sleek unit: the solar inverter and optional EV charger, the battery power conversion system or Piazzazz, the battery module, and finally the energy management system or EMS. A smart all-in-one solution built to power the modern home with ease and efficiency. So let's talk about the aesthetics of the product. As you can see, it is compact, it is sleek. Personally, I think it looks nice. I'm not against the design. Obviously, there's LED strips on the side which show either your battery SoC, or you can have it like just pulsating. We've got the display on the front showing us the flow of energy and where it's going, what's being used, whether it's the battery or PV and so on. We've got 2 batteries here. So this is a floor stand with an 8 kWh battery, another 8 kWh battery, and a 12 kilowatt single phase inverter. You can see height wise, I'm obviously sitting down, so that would come up to probably my waist if I was to stand up. I don't like the look of it as much when you have 1 battery or even 2. I still think it's pretty low. I like it like nice and tall, but genuinely speaking, I don't dislike the look of it. I think it looks pretty cool. So what inverter manufacturers have done obviously over time is like reduce what you actually see on the inverter itself. We used to have like displays, them displays got smaller and smaller, and the information they gave you got less and less because obviously everything is online now, web-based. So as you can see on here, like there's minimal in terms of like actual information. Well, there's no information really, but you know, you've got the LED strips and you are getting information back from them, but it's designed in a way to be minimalistic and aesthetically pleasing. It's not there to give you information effectively. All of that's via the software. LED strip, there's like multiple functions on this. There isn't many companies that have that feature, which is quite cool. I think the Powerwall 2 used to have a strip up the side, but it weren't as like functional. It was kind of just showed you the battery SoC, but they've sort of taken that and used that here, but it's got way more features, so you can pick what kind of function the lights are, whether they're pulsating or if it's SoC or if they're just on, and what colors. And I personally don't think it's a novelty. If you've got like the battery on your outside wall or in a garage and you're like gonna walk past it frequently or see it frequently, it's like your phone. When I pick up my phone, I know because I look at the bar on my phone that shows me how much battery I've got. So when I'm like looking at the battery, if it just shows me that there's half the light is full, then I know that it's half full. Maybe people will say it is a novelty. Obviously, the weight of the system is quite heavy, but it's not impossible to install. So why is weight important? Versatility in terms of where you can install it. So like, it's not advised now through PAS guidance and stuff, but if it's going in like an attic, obviously you don't want a lot of weight there. So it comes with two different stands, a floor stand and a wall stand. If it goes on a wall stand, you can only have a maximum of 2 batteries on the wall bracket, so you're limited in terms of what you can do. Wall bracket, when I've used them, it's because we're working in confined spaces and you've got a section of the garage in the corner which is out of the way, which is the only real place it can go. Or we done one on above a flat roof outside on the extension, and so rather than have the weight sat on the flat roof, we put it on the wall to keep the weight off the flat roof. But again, you're limited to 2 batteries if you do that. So 70 kg for one 8 kilowatt hour battery, which is not light. I can lift that on my own and stack batteries, but if I get to more than sort of 3 or 4, it becomes quite challenging on your own. With that said, it is an easy battery to install because it has battery handles that you don't have to pay for. Solar Edge charge you like 100+ quid for the handles, which is ridiculous, and Enphase charge you like 200 quid for the battery handles to be able to even lift the battery. 70 kilograms per battery to like a Powell 3, which is 1 unit, whereas these are modular, that's 1 unit, and it's 110 kilograms, and you cannot move that battery. It doesn't come with handles. It's like been designed to physically not be able to move. Like, you couldn't have made it more challenging to lift. There's nowhere to hold it. They have a dolly machine which costs an absolute fortune that you can rent to use, but in the real world it's not practical. And so, you know, even though it's heavy, it's not that heavy and it's doable on my own. This system that's next to me, I put together myself today in half hour. So obviously if you need 2 people on site to move it, again, that's more cost, you know, like renting dolly machines and all that. Again, this is all just cost. The whole charging for handles to move the battery is ridiculous. Sigenergy, they come with a kit. Yeah, let us know in the comments what you think. Does it look nice? Let us know what you think. Okay, so what do we rate it out of 5? For me, I would rate it a 3.5, maybe a 4. I think to look at, absolutely fine. 4. I think its weight, 3.5, it's still heavy, let's be honest. But it's manageable and it's got handles. I think the company drags it back a bit, if I'm honest, for me. The brand is a new brand, although they've came in with a Storm and it's accelerated really fast. It is still a new brand and it doesn't have the strength and weight that longer serving brands have. Okay, so next up is power. What does power cover? Output power, the scalability, and the backup power. So let's talk about its power. So they do 2 batteries. They do an 8 kilowatt hour battery and a 5 kilowatt hour battery. The 8 kilowatt hour battery had a usable capacity of 7.8 kilowatt hours, and the 5 kilowatt hour battery had a usable capacity of 5.2 kilowatt hours. The 8 kilowatt hour battery has 9 battery cells, whereas the 5 kilowatt hour battery has 6 battery cells. It's extremely scalable, which is awesome. We've got 2 modules here, 8 kilowatt hour modules, 1, 2, and an inverter. For every inverter, you can have 6 batteries, regardless if it's a 5 kilowatt hour battery or an 8 kilowatt hour battery, but you can have 6 per inverter. So 6 blocks, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in your inverter, and then you can have that in parallel 10 times. So you could have 6 times 8 kilowatt hour to give you a total per stack of 48 kilowatt hours per inverter. And then you can have that 10 times. So times that by 10 gives us 480 kilowatt hour of storage capacity. Okay, so the Sigenergy batteries have a parallel connection with a battery optimizer in each pack. What does that mean? A parallel connection. So parallel versus series. Series where each battery is connected to each other and one battery could go down. That would potentially knock out the other batteries. Also, the flow of energy through those batteries means the last battery in the chain is not getting the same amount of use as the first battery. So just various downsides, mainly that if you lose a cell, it knocks out the rest of them. Parallel and battery optimization, you don't have that problem. If you lose one of these batteries, you'll just lose that battery and the other ones will all continue to work and operate independently, much like solar, what we know of solar panel optimization and how they work independently. It's the same principle with these. So happy days, right? What that means is you can mix match battery sizes. So you can have a 5 with an 8 and then a 5 and then an 8, and it doesn't matter because of the parallel connection and the battery optimization. And also, if you are adding new batteries to an old installation, you don't, or not even an old installation, but whenever you do a battery installation, the battery charge, depth of discharge or state of charge, SOC, needs to be at a certain percentage, normally like 5% margin of its neighbouring battery. Whereas with this, you can simply have them at any state of charge, put them together and they'll correct themselves individually because they're working independently. Okay, so we've spoken about batteries, now let's speak about the inverter. They do a 3 kilowatt inverter all the way up to 12 kilowatt, which decent. Not many people do that. They typically end at around 6 for single phase, and these go all the way up to 12. So happy days. The 8 kilowatt is a 3 MPPT tracker, and the 10 and the 12 kilowatt are 4 MPP trackers, which means 4 inputs from 4 different arrays. The inverter has a 200% oversizing tolerance on the PV side. So for a 10 kilowatt inverter, you can have 20 kilowatt peak hour of PV going into it. It has a charge discharge rating depending on the battery. Well, let's take this example. A 12 kilowatt hybrid inverter with 2 8 kilowatt hour batteries. This would give us the ability to charge and discharge at 12 kilowatt, because for each battery we have a charge discharge of 6 kilowatt, which with 2 of those and a 12 kilowatt inverter, we can charge at full capacity and discharge at full capacity. It has a obviously output of 12 kilowatt, which when we're talking about power is probably the most important point. And whereas with other systems you might have to do that in parallel, a key feature is that we can do that with one single unit. And if we wanted to, we could also parallel that as well, but you probably wouldn't do that with the DNO because you wouldn't get an approval for it. But it's awesome. We can do all the limitations. If we want to do limitations on, even though it is a bigger inverter, we can restrict it down on limitations through the software. We have the same output from our inverter in backup. So if we're, because of the gateway, if we're in the backup power, we can do an output power of 12,000 watts as well. Also in power is another important part, which is the backup power. So not many people do backup power. Everybody does backup power, normally what they call EPS, which is where you basically just get the size of your inverter as a maintained fuse board or consumer unit for the home. So if you had a 6 kilowatt inverter, you would get 25 amp ability. Whereas Sigenergy, with a couple of others who do it, Give Energy and Tesla, and they have backup gateways. With the gateway, we get way more capability, and they've basically built everything designed for that purpose of running the home off grid. So in terms of backup power, we get a lot more. So what does that look like? Right. So we have our gateway. It is an optional gateway. You don't have to have it. It has the ability to have multiple inverters off of the one gateway. So if you've got parallel inverters, you can use up to 3 inverters off of this gateway. It has a smart port, which can be used for a backup generator, or it can be used to control high load items that you might not want on your backup loads. So non-backup loads or non-essential loads can also come off of here. So for example, we can use this for like an EV charger or maybe a Sigenergy EV charger. It has SPD, so it's got surge protection built in. It's got 100 amp contactors. It has everything a gateway needs to be able to change over when there is a power cut efficiently. So the Gateway has 6 models. It has a 0 millisecond changeover, which is quicker than that. Okay, so what are we going to rate the Sigenergy in terms of power? To be honest, I think it's probably a 5. I don't think there's anything it doesn't have. So in terms of power, it has a large scalability for single phase properties, residential homes. It can be paralleled up to 10 different stacks. It has massive scalability in terms of storage, 8 kilowatt hour battery, 5 kilowatt hour battery. It has a gateway that does everything it needs to do. Discharge, obviously, depending on inverter size and how many batteries you have, but again, it's huge. You know, you chuck 4 batteries and a 12 kilowatt inverter there, you can't really get better than that. I don't think in terms of power, you can get better, therefore I'm giving it a 5. Okay, so we have covered presence, we have covered power, and now we are going to cover protection. So starting with the cells. So what layer of protection or what level of protection do we get from the cells? Well, they use LFP batteries, which is lithium iron phosphate, pretty standard now in the industry. It's a safer technology, so it expands rather than combusts. So the cells will expand. So good from a protection point of view. So where better to start than the 8 kilowatt hour battery? The battery has a long lifespan because it's 280 amp hours, so has a longer duration. It's also safe to touch because it's a low voltage, so 32.8 volts. The batteries that I've worked with in the past have been 50 volts, so obviously lowering the voltage is safer to touch. Not that I would recommend touching it. Where we've got modular batteries, for every one incrementally we add, they're in parallel, which means we're increasing the ampage, but we're keeping that voltage the same. So protection is good, safe to touch. So IP rating. The battery and the inverter have an IP66 rating. The EV charger has an IP65 rating, and the Gateway has an IP54 rating. So what is an IP rating? Ingress protection is what it stands for, and that is the code that we give to products which determine the level of ingress from dust and water that a product can allow or is suitable for, and it's coded through those IP numbers. So IP66 is incredible. Anything IP65 or above typically can go outside, and which leads me to, well, the Gateway is only IP54. Now, that's not ideal, to be honest. It's a bit of a letdown. Obviously, where is your meter cupboard for your home? It's outside. So typically when we're installing the Gateway, we're trying to be within 3 meters of your incoming meter, which means that a lot of the time it can go outside. Plus it's big and, you know, outside is a suitable location. So having that low IP rating on the Gateway isn't great. Obviously we can put a canopy over it and do certain things, but ultimately we can't change the fact it is only IP54 rated. That is the rating of it. So there's some question marks there. Next up is the warranty. Battery and inverter as standard has a 10-year warranty, which is common for most products now. So it is, however, based on throughput energy, which is wear and tear. How many miles is going through the battery? Much like a car, putting mileage on a car is what they're referring to as throughput energy. So the more you're using it, obviously that could dictate the length of your warranty. Extra warranty, 10-year as standard. You can purchase a 5-year additional warranty per item. So if you've got multiple batteries and inverter, we'll display those prices on the screen. As you can see, it's rather pricey. Also on the warranty, at the moment you have to purchase it through your installer, and you have to do that within the first year. But it has been said that Sigenergy are releasing that on the software, so it'll be available for the homeowner to do directly on the app. Obviously, batteries and inverters are not cheap, they're expensive, so it is considered a lot for the extra warranty. The drawback on that is it is per item, and the upside of it being modular in terms of design and installation, obviously when you're buying warranty on a modular level, it then stacks up and can be quite expensive. So the EV Charger and the Gateway, the EV Charger has a 3-year warranty and the Gateway has a 2-year warranty. We haven't really had much experience with warranty claims with Sigenergy, as it's quite a new company. Whilst we've done quite a few installations now, I suppose it's a good thing because it shows that we've not really had any problems with the product. Now, we do have one case, RMA, Return Merchandise Agreement, that we are looking to do, and it'll be interesting to see how that goes. With warranty, like some manufacturers are really easy, and what I mean is, you know, you'll state your claim, you'll send evidence for the problem, they will authorise a return of a replacement. Some people that can be quite challenging to do. Typically they will look for ways out of a warranty claim. Hopefully Sigenergy in time are going to sit on that fence where there's no issues ever with warranty claims. Obviously, personal experience as an installation company, it's an important part of the business. We've been in business for quite a while now, and so we understand the importance of warranty claims. And they are still a young company, so we'll see how that progresses in the future. So obviously with a warranty claim, if you did ever have to have a replacement, because of its modular installation, it's easy, like pretty straightforward to do, right? New battery turns up, we turn up, we take off the inverter, we take off the battery, we put the replacement on, we put the inverter back on. It's that simple. So with obviously the modular arrangement that we've got with installation and setup on the Sigenergy, when you compare it to like a Tesla, if a component fails inside your Tesla battery, as it's a one-piece unit, you're replacing the whole unit regardless. With the modular system, obviously we are able to take out whatever's faulty and replace it much simpler. Okay, so next up is safety. The SigenStor have a 5-layer protection in each battery, and we'll explain what those features are. Each battery is equipped with high temperature resistant insulation pads along the inner walls, helping to contain heat and protect the internal structure. Each module also comes with an internal fire extinguisher, which once activated releases chemicals to neutralise any thermal runaways. The system also features advanced aerogel insulation pads, a built-in decompression valve, and finally, each battery pack is equipped with 7 temperature sensors for cell level detection and full temperature monitoring. Safe battery. In addition to the safety features in the battery, we have some other layers, which is 1, PV disconnection protection, 2, DC ground fault protection, 3, grid fault protection, and 4, DC buzz protection. And I'm sure they have surge protection as well. Look, I think they're obviously making a point of safety. A lot of the safety features are standard, but then there are a lot that aren't standard, like what they're doing with the batteries at modular level. So what do we rate the overall protection? I would give it a 4. on the basis that I think it could have had a 5 if it wasn't for the Gateway that has the IP54 rating. Whilst they obviously are doing a lot of things that other people are not doing, the Gateway lets it down a little bit, and it's still a new company. So who knows if they're going to stay true to their warranty, their expensive warranty. Protection is a 4 out of 5. Right, so we have come on to our fourth point, which is the price. So the Sigenergy is a high-end product. I can kind of see why. It's got advanced safety features, it's got AI, which we'll talk about in a minute, and it's got a snazzy screen as well. You know, it fits into that kind of like Tesla bracket. And it's because it's got a lot of features, right? It's got features that a lot of other batteries don't do, like we've just discussed in the safety, the high output ability, the modular large scalability. It's got its own ecosystem. So I understand why it's in that category, but it is a new company as well. You know, they've not been around, like when you compare it to Tesla, who've been around for a long time. They're a much bigger organisation, but I wouldn't discredit someone for being a new business. I just think there's no historical data there to value it to its true value. So yeah, so it's hard to break down the pricing because there's lots of components and additions. You could have the Gateway, you don't have to have the Gateway. You've got a 5 kilowatt hour battery and 8 kilowatt hour battery, and different size inverters, and obviously the price is different depending on what pieces come together to form the package. We've put a couple of price examples on the screen for reference. If you want to hit pause to take a look, if you've got a system and you're just adding on, or when we're building on our packages, we're just adding a battery on, that's an additional £2,800. Whereas for a 5 kilowatt hour battery, it's an additional £2,000. So to add more battery to your setup, when you look at the cost per kilowatt hour of a 5 kilowatt hour battery and an 8 kilowatt hour battery, the cost per kilowatt hour is higher on the 5 kilowatt hour battery. Therefore, I don't think the 5 kilowatt hour battery is as usable. I typically would promote always using the 8 kilowatt hour battery because you're getting the cost per kilowatt hour at better value. I would rate the price probably a 3. I think it's a fair price. I think you're getting a lot for your money, but it's expensive, right? Okay, so finally we are on to Pizzazz, which is the cool and like unique features that a product has, and which makes them stand out, you know, give them that kind of wow factor. So Pizzazz would be the AI. Well, it's artificial intelligence to be precise, but they have in the app, they use like ChatGPT 4 in the app. So I actually have used it a few times, and I can see why it's beneficial. I'll give you examples of where I've used it. So like sometimes like we're on site and it's like the weekend or late in the evening, and even though we've got like support numbers with Sigenergy, sometimes I've used that chat because it's been a faster way of getting support. Just punch in the problems I'm having, it gives me like 4 answers to the problem or 4 possibilities, and then, you know, obviously through that we've navigated to like the solution. So yeah, comes in handy from like installer perspective, but also from a customer perspective. If they're having issues and they just chuck it into the ChatGPT, then they're likely to get the same sort of responses there. So yeah, it's decent. I've set customers up on the AI smart tariffs, so you can use the AI smart tariff feature, which will integrate into tariffs that may be on Drive or Octopus Intelligent Go, or you know, there's loads of tariffs on there. So the moment it's installed, it's learning the patterns and the trends of the home, and it's learning when you're using energy, when you need a full charge battery, when you are exporting a lot of energy, and it's taking all of this data pool through its like historic data to make sure that the system is always optimized for like maximum performance and like payback. The AI feature is really unique. It's really cool. Don't think many people are doing it. I think maybe 1 or 2 might be, but They seem to be one of the first ones to bring it in, so I'm sure in the future everybody will be using AI. I think a lot of people do for daily use now. Without having internet, it's important to know that obviously you lose loads of features like that AI feature we were just discussing. Whole point is that you would lose that feature if you wasn't on the internet. So by these three methods of internet connectivity, if it's not hardwired, I would expect it to be most common for people to use the Wi-Fi. So if you change your router, you'll lose connectivity. There's also the 4G SIM. So if you're remote or you don't have good Wi-Fi and it's nearly impossible to get a hardwired connection, it does have a 4G SIM which you can use, which will give you internet connectivity via data. Even though it has this AI feature and it is obviously beneficial, especially in smart tariff integrations and its self-learning ability, there's a lot of talk that will become a subscription that might need to be, at the moment obviously it's free, but I would just anticipate that in the future that would become a paid subscription. So obviously something to bear in mind if that's a big selling point or buying factor for you. The other pizzazz I would say is probably the EV DC charger. So they do two chargers. They do an AC EV, which is this one. So that is the AC EV. This is a untethered one, and 7 kilowatts or 7.68. They do obviously an 11 kilowatt and a 21 kilowatt, so 3-phase, single phase options, or 22 kilowatt, sorry, not 21. So yeah, so we've got the AC EV charger, various ranges, single phase and 3-phase. That's cool, but it's obviously everyone's doing EV chargers now, so there's loads of them out there. What everyone is not doing is an EV DC charger, where you have, as part of the stacks, so one of the modules in the stack is the DC EV charger, has a cable on the end of it to plug into the car, and it gives you 25 kilowatt of DC output ability. So it's bi-directional, so obviously all the talk about vehicle to grid charging and using your vehicle battery to power your home or to export on grid share and grid X and all that stuff. It will have all them capabilities built into it. Obviously it's handy, as an EV owner, having a fast charge. It uses solar, battery and grid to get to that 25 kilowatt number. But so there's variables in there, but the reality is it's still wicked. So it offers 150 kilometers of driving range in an hour. So yeah, no one else is doing that. That's really cool. The downside is costs quite a bit of money. So if you're lucrative, then happy days. So it costs about 3.5–4 grand, whereas this is sort of 800 installed. That may be 3.5 grand installed. So yeah, big difference in price. Obviously both doing the same task, but obviously this is a luxury and has obviously its own benefits to having, but yeah, definitely a unique feature. So with the EV DC, it can be obviously really beneficial, but it has to be local to the car, because the arrangement or the setup here becomes the EV charger as well, which obviously you can't have in the back garden if your car is on the drive, if the lead is attached to the batteries. It needs to be installed in a garage or sort of where the drive is, so that you're able to actually use it. So it might not be practical for everyone, but they have focused on future-proofing the product, hence the bi-directional charging capabilities. That's very forward-thinking, and they've obviously taken these things into account when designing the product. So what are we going to give it for pizzazz? Probably a 3.5. I just think there's things that they're doing that not everybody is doing, and because of that, we can't overlook that. Like, there has to be, ultimately it takes people to, even though, like, for example, the DC EV charger is super expensive, no one else is doing it, so they are forward thinking, and I think the forward thinking element becomes the pizzazz. Without that initiative to try to do something differently, we all stay the same. Yeah, so the subscription, obviously, that you're putting in as a potential putting in a prescription on the AI, I think isn't great, because obviously one of the unique selling points of the product would be the AI feature, but then is being potentially clawed back through a subscription. So a bit demotivating in that respect. But no, overall, I think generally Pizzazz 3.5 I think is fair. 5 would be a self-installed system. Okay, so we've done our reviews out of 5, our 5 Ps, and now we need to give it a total score. So I've had some time to reflect, and I think I will give my presence a 3.5. I will give my power a 5 out of 5. I will give my protection a 4 out of 5. And I will give my price a 3 out of 5. I'll give my Pizzazz a 4 out of 5, which changed from a 3 and a 5 to a 4. And I just think that there is some, really unique features that they're doing. So overall, drum roll please, we have a total score of 19.5. So 19.5 out of 25. The reality is nothing will probably get a 25, because ultimately the moment we get a 25 out of 25, we don't ever need to do this again because you can't get better than that. So there has to be room for growth and improvement. 19.5 I think is a brilliant score. And if we recap and look back through, Sigenergy are a new company. They come in 3 years ago, and I remember quoting someone when they first come in. I mean, we had, I think, just done the training. No one was really installing it. I don't know how many installs were done, but it would have been, minimal amounts. And I was having this conversation, and the customer just could not get over how new they were with the business. He loved everything, but he wouldn't commit to them because they were such a new company. Now, 3 years later, the position that they've put themselves into in the market, they are, doing everything and more, and couldn't do anything better, in my opinion. If I'd have invested shares, I would be happy, because they seem to just be moving at a tunnel vision in one direction. When we consider that and all of them unique features, you can kind of get around the fact that they're a new company. And as long as they, in time, back that up with good warranty and, prove to continue to be a strong company, then they'll always remain at that top rating from us. And we'll always continue to install and service our Sigenergy products. And we're a fan. So thank you, Sigenergy. A massive thank you to Triple Solar, who have allowed us to film here today. So thank you guys for always helping us at Deej Solar, and for your continued support. If you need any Sigenergy products, Triple Solar are the main distributor for Sigenergy in the UK. And we are really grateful, and hope the video is useful to anyone watching. Obviously, let us know in the comments if you have any questions or you don't agree with any of the ratings that we've gave today, and we kindly welcome your feedback. So have a great day, enjoy your solar journey if you're learning, and don't forget to like, subscribe and follow. Like, comment, subscribe and think green.